everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey! We're excited to be back again for another week to talk about some geeky goodness in the world of entertainment. And the three of us are having so much fun talking about this every week. We're back into 2022, which is really exciting. And we got so much to talk about today. We're going to talk about some Raid news, some Turning Red news. We're going to tease what our 5 favorite movies coming out in 2022, the ones we're looking forward to the most in 2022 is our main topic. And Shannon's going to hook us up with some trailers to talk about as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our show today. Let's introduce ourselves. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Outlaw Nation and the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel. I'm a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor where I'm on hold for something right
Whoa!
now. So hopefully next week we'll get official news. We'll see.
All right, send out good thoughts for him, ladies and gentlemen. That is happening possibly for Shannon McClung. Gentlemen, how are you feeling? We're in our second week of January. How are things? Let me checking in with you too. How are we feeling? Are we excited? We keep losing people left and right. We recently lost Bob Saget on the heels of losing Betty White, then Ronnie Spector yesterday. Just a little bit of a tough start. What do you think it is about the new year?
I mean, I saw a meme that was like 2022 is like the boyfriend that tells you they've changed and you're going to take them back a third time. Like, look, I got sick last weekend. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe it wasn't. Since the rapid tests don't really tell you with Omicron, possibly, it's hard to say. Maybe we'll talk to our friends at Carbon Health about that one.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting better. I've got a lot of work. All my friends are dropping like flies left and right. After I stopped isolating, I started driving around and delivering Gatorade and soup to people on their doorsteps. So
sweet.
I am telling you, 2022, I don't trust you. I don't trust you yet.
I think 22 is like the last part of the workout where you're like, oh my God, I just got to get through this and I'll get to go home and shower and drink my Gatorade or whatever. Shannon, how are you feeling as we go into 2022? Any thoughts on the loss of Bob Saget, either of you? I mean, Shannon first, of course. I mean, what a terrible loss here. Sudden loss. Certainly nobody expected it. Died in his sleep, apparently peacefully.
Yeah, I mean, he was in his mid-60s? I mean, and then you watch all these people from the stand-up community who come out and talk about him because, he was sort of made famous by his role in Full House. Right. And unbeknownst to a lot of the folks that watch TGIF, he was a truly filthy stand-up comedian. So then post Full House, like he really kind of leaned into the foul-mouthed act. But I mean, all the people that have come out, it's just like, this was one of the nicest men on the planet. I've had a few folks who worked with him in the stand-up circuit, but also worked with him on the reboot, the Fuller House.
Oh, wow.
And she specifically talked about the bond that he and Dave Coulier and John Stamos had. Just like, these three guys, they had literally become brothers over the last 30 years. And yeah, man, I mean, it came out that, he just passed away in his sleep. And I think if you're gonna go, I mean, that seems like you just wake up and you go to sleep and you don't wake up. That seems like a very peaceful way to go, but certainly very sad.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people that like my first introduction to Bob Saget was Full House.
Right.
And then I subsequently turned on a comedy special of his and was surprised. But I mean, even despite that, like, I mean, I think like Bob Saget, like if you grew up in a certain era, he was one of those TV dads that you like saw every week. And, it's like those people that are just sort of a part of your upbringing, a part of your life. And, we talked about it with Betty White. Like Betty White's passing was really sad, but she had a full life. I mean, she made it all the way to 99. And so, like 65 is definitely, he had a lot more years ahead of him. So it definitely is more tragic and sad, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, a lot of people have a very strong connection with him. And everybody said, even on those roasts, like I was watching some of the Bob Saget roasts, and Greg Giraldo said, it's insane. Nobody has anything negative to say about you, which is why it made it one of the most difficult roasts to do. And so that tells you volumes. That's a tough thing to see in this entertainment business where no one has anything negative to say about him. And so shout out to him and his family. We send our thoughts of comfort and our wishes for our condolences and our wishes for a smooth as possible journey through dealing with this loss, for sure. And
that's why we don't have a roast for you, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's nothing bad to say. It would be so short. Like we've talked about it, but it's like, how can you have a roast for John Rocha, the outlaw? Like what could you possibly say?
What could you possibly say? What you guys always forget is there's a retort at the end for the roastee. So, all bets are off. So, but we'll see if we'll do them.
Oh, we're writers.
So am I. I'm a tweeter.
Your retort can only be 140 characters.
Just 280, baby. I'm across that line. I get 280.
I have to think that throughout the roast, John would just be on his phone the whole time going into drafts mode. All right, well, fuck you. And you.
At MK Toon just said that would be brilliant. We should do a live Geek Buddies roast. That'd be hilarious. All right. Anyway. But anyway, we're going to get into things. Before we do, just want to give a big shout out to Carbon Health, who sponsors and powers our show, as well as the Outlaw Nation. Thanks so much to them. They're a leading national healthcare provider. You can go and look them up at www.carbonhealth.com. See if there's a clinic near you. They're doing testing now. They're doing testing if you're going to go overseas, if you're going to travel. They're also doing virtual care for anybody who's like kind of a shut-in or doesn't want to leave the house, or is worried about it, or is immunocompromised. There's all kinds of things that are available for you at carbonhealth.com. Please go and patronize them. And do me a favor. If you go there, do us a favor. If you go there, tweet at us and let us know you went. Let us know you had a good experience so we can retweet Carbon Health and let them know, hey, it's working. People are going thanks to the Geek Buddies suggesting for them to go. And I heard that their clinics are not overwhelmed right now. So you should find them if you're trying to get these tests. And I know a lot of people are having trouble getting these tests, Mike and Shannon, all over the country.
If you go in to get a test, and if you go in from Geek Buddies to get a test, go in and be like, I think I've got COVID. Hey! Like that.
Exactly. And please videotape yourself or video yourself doing that.
Please don't do that. They'll stop sponsoring us.
And be prepared to be escorted out abruptly.
Abruptly, quite quickly. That's a very good point. And one last thing, as I said here, they've got their brand promises. Everyone deserves good health, and they make high-quality healthcare accessible for everyone, whether you're making an ass of yourself or not. So that's a good thing. All right, let's jump into this thing. This is how it works for those of you who are new. For those of you who are not new, thanks so much for staying with us. But for those of you who are new, each one of us presents a geek news item. We talk about it amongst ourselves. There's 3 geek news items, and we take a break and jump into our main topic. And our main topic is the top 5 films we're looking forward to seeing in 2022. So I guess I start off today, and I'm talking about The Raid, ladies and gentlemen. The Raid. It is happening here. There's a remake happening. This came over the wire a couple of days ago. The Raid is a 2011 film from Gareth Evans. If you guys seen Gangs of London, that's the same guy, same creator. He made this film in 2011. It was about an elite Indonesian SWAT team that becomes trapped in a rundown apartment building run by a ruthless mobster living in the penthouse and populated by his personal army of killers and thugs. If you've seen this movie, you know this is some of the best fight sequences and action sequences that you're ever going to see. But here are 3 people and there have been rumors about a remake for quite some time, but these are the 3 people that are finally apparently going to do it, and that is filmmakers Michael Bay, Patrick Hughes, who's done the Hitman's Bodyguard series, and Gareth Evans coming back to be a part of this as an executive producer. It will be at Netflix and XYZ Films. Apparently, it's going to be set in Philadelphia in the drug-infested Badlands, where an elite undercover DEA task force climbs a ladder of cartel informants to catch an elusive kingpin. Shannon, you've seen The Raid. What do you think about this idea of a remake and then adding adding Michael Bay and Patrick Hughes to Gareth Evans' vision for this?
I'm not so sure about this one. I actually enjoy a lot of Michael Bay's work. I mean, I accept it for what it is going in. Some of his movies that do not have transforming robots in them, because Transformers 1, I think, is a great movie. But, I mean, he's made some really good smaller movies like Pain and Gain. That's a great movie. It kind of depends. Yes, 13 hours. I think it will depend on the Michael Bay who shows up for this. Is it Transformers Michael Bay, where you're literally throwing everything at the screen, or is it sort of the withholding Michael Bay, the guy who looks like he directed Ambulance, that's coming out in April, I believe.
To clarify real quick, he's not directing. He's one of the executive producers with Gareth Evans. Patrick Hughes is the one directing, and here's where we might have some concern. The Hitman's Bodyguard guy is apparently going to direct the new take.
I mean, The Hitman's Bodyguard, I thought for what it was a funny movie. I have not seen, what is it, The Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife? Is that the one with Salma Hayek, the sequel? Yeah. I actually think that was kind of a funny movie.
Okay.
What Michael Bay brings to the table, I'm assuming they're producing it through Platinum Dunes, which is his production company. Michael Bay has produced a ton of stuff that I have thought was good and some that I thought was not so good. The Hitman's Bodyguard, the action doesn't stand out to me as the thing that is memorable about that movie. It's the relationship between Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson. So I don't know how that translates to a remake of The Raid. Those seem like two very different movies to me. But, we'll see. I mean, I thought The Hitman's Bodyguard was funny. Based off of whatever we get in terms of a trailer will sort of dictate how I feel about the movie going forward.
Yeah, Mike, The Raid has these comedic moments, but they're not for comedy. It's more like a break in the insane action. So you're just kind of smiling because you have no other reaction to certain situations. Do you anticipate that these are the right three people to bring together, to work together, to do a remake of this incredible action film, hand-to-hand?
I question making a remake of an incredible action film that's just barely 10 years old. I mean, 10 years old now, I guess a little over 10.
Yeah, fair.
If a movie is really great and everyone's like, that was fucking awesome, remake it 25 years later, maybe 30 years later, but we're in a window where it's like, if the movie's great, go watch it.
Right.
So I'm kind of like are these the right guys to do it? Maybe. I have the same questions about the comedy to action balance that you guys brought up, but mostly I'm just kind of like, cool. Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point because we're hearing a Train to Busan remake. We're hearing all these, how many of these remakes that have transferred over from Asian-based films, or I know Gareth Evans is not Asian, but still the fact that he did this and it was an Asian-based film in terms of the characters and where it was set, how many of them really work when they transfer over into the American market? Not that many. So the concern, look at Old Boy. That's a terrible remake from Spike Lee. So you go and watch this, you go and look at this situation. You wonder if this is the right deal, because is Gareth Evans going to be pushed by Michael Bay trying to make it more of a populist take, and you hire someone like the director from Hitman's Bodyguard, that's more of a funny comedic take on this. So are we gonna, is Ryan Reynolds gonna get cast the lead of this? That's my concern, is it becomes too funny and the action is only adjacent to the comedy, not the comedy adjacent to the action.
But also, I think there's also the idea of look, even 10 years ago, a little bit further, if there was a movie that came out in a different language, in a different country, in a different place, the way the movie market worked, the general audience maybe didn't always see it as much.
Right.
Specific people would still seek things out, and people who are really into cinema would go see this, go see that. But look at Squid Game. We're living in an era where the idea of viewing something that is from another country that's a great movie that has subtitles or that is different or whatever, that's not a giant hurdle for people anymore. So again, it's doing these remakes now. I agree with you. Most of the time when a movie happened in another country and it got remade in America, the remake wasn't great. That's usually the case. But even with that, people are watching movies and other, thanks to Netflix, thanks to streamers, this is not a giant hurdle anymore. So again, it's just sort of cool. Is it going to be better?
Right.
And it says probably not.
And, and nothing reaffirms your point more, Mike, than the fact that Netflix, Squid Game got nominated for SAG Awards. No one saw that coming. So pretty incredible stuff. So we'll see. I mean, I want to err on the side of hopefulness because I love Michael Bay and I like Gareth. I love Mike Gareth Evans. I like Patrick Hughes. So I hope it works out and it's a great remake. But if they blunt the sharpness of that original for the American audience, like they did with Girl with Dragon Tattoo, that Fincher version, I'm going to be super pissed in my opinion. So, because I love the raid. All right, where are we off to next? I think Shannon, you have it next. Yes.
No, I think it's Vogel.
Oh, Vogel. Sorry, Vogel. Please take it away.
Thank you, Shannon. Well, speaking of pissed, animation fans are pissed. Yeah. And they are pissed because Disney announced this week that Pixar's latest movie, Turning Red, which we've been talking about for a few weeks now, or a few months now, like as the trailers have been coming out, the latest feature about a girl named May who turns into a giant red panda when she gets emotional, that is coming out in March, is no longer coming out in theaters. It is going directly to Disney+. Now, this is the third Pixar movie that is not going into theaters and is going directly to Disney+. There was Soul, there was Luca, and now there is Turning Red. And so everyone was kind of surprised by this. Like, the trailer has been in theaters for a while now. Everyone's been stoked about it. It was going to be a theatrical release. Didn't seem like there was any issue. And then all of a sudden, kind of unbeknownst to anyone why, Disney Plus made this announcement. So there's obviously been a lot of conjecture, a lot of articles about it, a lot of questions about it. It is worth mentioning, I don't think this is the reason, but it is worth mentioning that these last three movies were a movie starring a black man, a movie about an Italian almost gay relationship. It was Call Me, Calamari by Your Name. Luca.
Oh, boy.
And then...
Silencio Bruno.
Silencio Bruno. And then Turning Red, which is about an Asian family in Canada in the early 2000s. So there's a lot of questions about that. I don't know that necessarily fully tracks, given that Encanto is currently ripping it up.
But it's not a Pixar film, though.
No, but I mean, I'm saying the reasons people who are saying, well, they're just putting all of their minority films on streaming with Encanto going into theaters. I don't know that that's the case.
Right.
I've heard rumors that Turning Red didn't test great, and so they got worried. But a lot of articles are saying, and I do think this is actually probably the reason, is it's not actually a Disney not having confidence in Pixar. It's actually the opposite. Bob Chapek has made no bones about the fact that he's way more interested in the future of streaming than he is in the future of movie theaters. And most of these companies, you look at what HBO Max did with doing all of their releases, they want big box office. It's great. We all talk about it. It's great to say that this movie's tearing up the box office. This movie did this. But long term, I think all of these companies are way more interested in how many people do we have subscribing each month to our service. And because Pixar is a marquee name, a lot of people are saying what they're actually doing is not being punitive to Pixar. What they're actually doing is, hey, we're keeping the Pixar stuff here. You have to have Disney Plus to see it. Right. Now, is that true? Maybe, maybe not. Also hearing that a lot of people working at Pixar are just super bummed right now, which I do think is probably true. For them to just be putting all of their Pixar love, sweat, and tears into these movies and constantly not get to go see them in theaters definitely sucks. So that is what's going on with Turning Red. Also have some news on Encanto, but first, what do you guys think about all of this? Why do you think Turning Red is going to Disney Plus, and do you think it's good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about the fact that they are, people of color, that the leads are people of color. That hit me, and I just didn't even think about that. And yes, you can argue Luca one way or the other, but still, it's a fish, and it's essentially supposed to symbolize being an other. That is, wow, I hadn't thought about that. So that's a little bit of a hit there. But I also think in my mind, this has been Disney's approach since they moved Iger out and Chapek came in. Chapek came in with that kind of pedigree of being good for the direct-to-consumer stuff. That's his approach. So they were one of the people, one of the studios that was well equipped to make this transition when COVID happened, more than the other studios. So Iger left just a couple weeks ago at the turning of the year. So then they make this announcement. This feels like the approach that they're going, and they're not releasing the money that they made. Trolls World Tour made $300 million. They didn't say how much Luca made. They didn't say how much Soul made. And they didn't say how much, and they won't tell you how much Turning Red made. So there has to be some kind of reason for this happening other than inspiring people to keep subscribing or stay subscribing, because Pixar is way too prominent and accomplished to be used in that manner. It seems weird.
Well, actually, Shannon, go ahead, and then I have a counter to what you're saying. Okay. But Shannon, go ahead first.
Well, yeah, a couple of thoughts from the filmmaker's perspective. When you're dealing with the legacy of Pixar, you look at what came before you. You understand the frustration that they assumed they were making something for one platform,
right,
for the big screen, and you find out it's going to Disney Plus. So even though that, as you had said, Vogel, there is an argument that that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like Disney Plus, they are trying to position to kind of be the crown jewel of Disney right now. Like this is the future of entertainment viewing, is going to be streaming at home. But as a filmmaker, as someone, who, as you said, poured your blood, sweat, and tears into this, to find out that the opportunity to see it on that giant screen has been taken away, I can understand the frustration. With Disney Plus, because of COVID, like back in 2020, knowing that they suddenly took all these movies, like there was the inevitable comparison to something going straight to Disney Plus as something going straight to Blockbuster back in the 90s. Like, you looked at the movies that did go to Disney Plus right away, like Artemis Fowl, like not a great movie. There, it seemed like the stuff that they did not have any confidence in, that they're like, you know what, when this comes out, when theaters are back open, it's not going to make a lot of money. Let's just get it out there now to have sort of some premium content. But yeah, I mean, that is something that they're trying. It seems like they're trying to rectify right now, and putting the Pixar stuff, even though it is a blow to the filmmakers, it seems like that's how they're trying to do it. Like Pixar, Disney Plus is the only place you can see the new Pixar movie. But yeah, I mean, it was something that I was looking forward to seeing on the big screen. Yeah. So yeah,
I agree. I think if you are a filmmaker, it sucks. I think for every animator, designer, rigger, writer, everyone at Pixar, I think this just kind of makes you bummed, and I do feel bad for them. But when we're looking at the future of everything, here are some interesting facts. So Encanto, which came out Thanksgiving weekend, when it came out, it did fine. It didn't do great at the box office. It did decent. The reviews were amazing, but it definitely wasn't blowing up. And like, if you just even look at the music, the soundtrack by Lin-Manuel Miranda, big Disney movie, debuted at number 197 on the Billboard 200 album chart.
Right. Wow.
Then Encanto came out over Christmas.
Right. On
Disney Plus. People are going crazy. This week, weeks and weeks and weeks after it released, We Don't Talk About Bruno is number 5 on the Billboard charts. And in addition to that, it is, let's see, number 1 on Spotify's US Top 50 chart, topping YouTube's music, songs, and music videos chart. And according to TikTok, more than 146,000 videos have been created using We Don't Talk About Bruno, racking up over 469 million views and counting, with videos highlighting the choreography, Latino representation, and uncovering Bruno Easter eggs in the movie's poster art and in the songs. So I do think that when you look at the success of Encanto, and like, if you just look at Twitter, I mean, I saw Encanto opening weekend, I loved it. I sketched some stuff, but even looking at Twitter, there was a couple people talking about Encanto. And then over Christmas break, Encanto tweets, Encanto TikToks, people talking, sketching, drawing, obsessing about Encanto blew up. So I think even though Disney Plus, just like all the streamers, doesn't release all their information, when you do look at the reaction to Encanto when it came out in theaters, looking at the music, looking at everything, versus the reaction on Disney Plus, and granted, we are in a pandemic. People don't want to go to theaters. This might not be a forever thing, but certainly for right now, the pop culture phenomenon part of a movie, which is also something any filmmaker really wants to have, is happening on streaming, not in theaters.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And you're right. I mean, like, there were those of us who went to see it and loved Encanto and were trumpeting it. And it wasn't until, as you said, it dropped to Disney Plus that all of a sudden everybody else kind of got on board, and you see what happens and the power of that. And also, look, Disney Plus subscribers in the last quarter were down from the previous quarter. So in terms of the amount of new subscribers that they got, so, there's this desire to keep that side of things going, as Shannon kind of alluded to. So adding this new content here kind of helps people stay aboard, helps families kind of stay aboard this train, or encourages new families to join this and see that they're getting new content, first run content on the channel. So yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But also, I know we got to move on from this, but is there a concern that animation is starting to slowly kind of move away financially from the heights that it had been in the past? Do you think this is a troubling trend, as you two gentlemen who work in animation? Is this concern you? Because I know we're in a pandemic and everything has to be seen through that prism. But if we come out of this pandemic and the animation numbers are still not as high as people thought, are we heading towards where a lot of these go to streaming for service over theatrical?
Well, again, I think that's presupposing this idea that Shannon was kind of alluding to, which is streaming is a second-tier window. I think that what the evidence is really pointing to is not that streaming is I mean, look at not even feature animation, but look at Arcane, look at Invincible on Amazon Prime, look at all of the shows that are coming out. If anything, animation is booming, and the types of stories that animation is telling, the types of characters, the types of stories, all of it is actually driving people towards streamers. So I think that we still live, and I think we're all guilty of it, not just you. We all kind of think, oh, theatrical release, big important thing. TV, not as important. And the fact is that we are literally living through an era where that is just drastically changing. And so we're still going to have those things that come out in theaters. But I mean, I think that if anything, animation is going to continue to be a huge draw, and the streamers are going to start doing more and more and more and more animation, and to the benefit of everybody, more varied animation. I mean, just look at Arcane. You're going to get these high quality, big budget, mature stories in animation that we never would have gotten in a theatrical release. So,
okay.
I mean, and Vogel pretty much said it all, but with the when we were growing up, there was sort of, from an adult's point of view, it wasn't necessarily cool for an American adult to be like, hey, I'm going to go see an animated feature. That's changed. I mean, and the era that we were in, we're not in it anymore. And now with adults focusing more on sort of that more mature animation, like Arcane, I think you're going to see more and more content, and at some point, I think we will see a big animated return to the theaters.
All right. All right. Sounds good. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's good. I hope what you mentioned earlier, Michael, the whether it's getting the right response and whether it's not testing well. I hope this is kind of just words in the wind, and that eventually when it comes out, people will like it, because it looks fantastic from the trailer.
I mean, look, I hope for Pixar's sake, I hope for everybody who worked on the movie, that when it comes out on Disney Plus, people freak out about it like they did about Encanto. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right. And also, by the way, we'll talk about it in our main topic. I am sure that Lightyear is going to be the Pixar movie that comes out in theaters.
White lead. White male lead. Shannon, what do you got for us, man?
Trailers. It's been a while, but we've got 3 trailers this week for 3 very different viewing options on 3 different platforms. First, the theater option, which was a trailer that I saw yesterday that made me double over laughing, called Studio 666. So if you have not seen this trailer, it is essentially what would happen if the Foo Fighters were recording an album in a cursed house and the evil, malevolent forces take over Dave Grohl. This trailer, I had no idea what this was. I randomly clicked on it on a site, and I was like, this is so funny that this is the type of movie that could have been like an all-star cast movie. But the fact that Dave Grohl apparently came up with this story, and within the music industry, everybody loves Dave Grohl. The footage that they show where Dave Grohl is the guy who is possessed, very, very funny. The other members of Foo Fighters seem very, very funny. You have some other comedic performers popping up, like Will Forte. Gentlemen, what did you all think? I noticed when I texted it yesterday, there was no response. What did you all think of our first look at Studio 666?
Mikey, what did you think?
every once in a while, you say something that makes me really question the decades-long friendship that we have. So like Shannon said, when we're trying to figure out what we're going to cover and trailers are coming out, like we're always texting each other like all day, every day. And I usually get a little bit behind. So like when these guys are like, oh, here's the trailers we're going to talk about, I don't always watch them right at that second. And then I'll be like, oh shit, we got to cover Geek Buddies. Let me watch these trailers. My reaction to this trailer was not the same as Mr. McClung's reaction to this trailer. My reaction to this trailer was like, the fuck is this? Here, Shannon McClung, the Shannon McClung quote. This trailer was hilarious. It's about what happens if the Foo Fighters try and record an album in a cursed house.
Yeah.
My reaction to this. This is about the Foo Fighters trying to record an album in a cursed house? The fuck is this? I was like, this is not high on my list for 2022. Let's just say that.
Well, I mean, I think what's incredible when you look at it, the trailer has over 2 million views on it, which is pretty incredible. Of course, you got the Foo Fighters, a very beloved group that has been around for quite some time. And Dave Grohl, I mean, no surprise it came. This is essentially, I bet every person who's a part of a band watched this and was like, yeah, this is totally a lead singer's thing, where they, of course, would be the one possessed. They're the one acting like an a-hole, trying to make sure we get this album done. It's taking, in essence, that story and going to the next level with it and turning the lead singer into a possessed demon, which is probably a lot of bands would tell you that most of their lead singers act like possessed demons when they're trying to get stuff done, which is very frustrating. So it works. But shout out to Dave Grohl. I mean, this is a guy who really, after the death of Kurt Cobain, what are you going to do? Starts his own group. Is it going to take off? It becomes massive. I would argue, because it's lasted longer, possibly a bigger footprint than Nirvana. Yeah, people might get upset about that, but possibly. And then boom, let's move into this. And I liked him in those Spotify commercials or Sirius XM commercials that he's been doing where they're all in the same house. He's very funny. So giving him a chance to kind of showcase what he can do. And isn't this the basic thing? If you want to be in something, write something and put yourself in it. Well, he's got the money. He's earned the cachet. So why not write something and put yourself in it? So the most basic rule of filmmaking is right there for y'all to see. And you got Whitney Avalon, you got Will Forte, you got Jeff Garland, you got other people who are going to add comedic, colors to this that are going to help it. I mean, Lionel Richie, who doesn't age, for God's sakes, is in this.
He really doesn't age.
I mean, what the fuck, man? I mean, seriously. I know black don't crack, but it's got to crack a little bit. And there's nothing there.
I think he's had some assistance with the cracking.
Maybe. Well, I might need to start calling his assistants. Let me just say that right now. But I love this as an idea, and it feels very much in the trauma vein, like Toxic Avenger type vein. And there's definitely a big audience for people who like that kind of stuff. And listen, Peacemaker dropped last night, and James Gunn is a big trauma guy. So the vibe, that essence is bubbling back to the surface now with a lot of film goers and film viewers. So why not try this out? I like it.
I mean, and lucky for everyone, maybe not Vogel, this comes out February 25th. Very, very soon.
I am sure I am going to be wrong. Like, we are going to be here a month from now. I'm going to be like, guys, it was great. It was so funny. I'm super shocked. Like, I'm always happy. I'm always happy to be wrong in that direction. Like, I'm always happy to not be excited about something and then be like, nope, you got me.
Yeah,
that was great.
True. Note to self: write a horror film about animation showrunner being possessed, trying to make sure. No, just joking. Wait.
No, but it was like, the funny thing about it is because it's his idea. Like, I don't know, like maybe this is like just a writer thing, but like everyone, like I at least when I was like first writing, like in middle school and high school would be writing stories. Like, it's always stories about your friends. It's like, me and my friends went on a field trip to Gotham City, or like me and my friends went to a haunted house and got possessed. And so like watching this trailer, I was like, this is like everyone starting out writing, hey guys, what if we like tried to make our next album in a haunted house? Like, it was totally like that. And I'm like, we'll see how this goes.
I think it's going to be funny. And since it comes out a week after Uncharted, if Uncharted it does not check all the boxes off for your cinematic tastes, maybe Studio 66 will fill the void.
We shall see. All right.
Our next trailer is going to be coming out on HBO Max from Steven Soderbergh, starring Zoe Kravitz, called Kimi. So this is essentially Rear Window in the digital age. If your Alexa suddenly became a witness to a murder, this looked like a really, really, again, this was something I randomly clicked on. Looks like a very, very cool movie. Stars Zoe Kravitz, Rita Wilson. Gentlemen, what did you all think of our first look at Kimi?
What's his face who does the voice of L. Ron Hubbard for that podcast? Wasn't that him too on the computer?
Oh, Andy Daly.
That was Andy Daly, right? Someone saw a murder. I enjoyed this trailer, but I don't know who this is for, to be honest with you, because I don't want the younger generation ain't going back to watch Hitchcock films. I've discovered that lately, being a part of the Schmodown. The younger generation really doesn't want to have classic films be a part of these questions anymore. They get upset when they come up. And so you're sensing that move away from it, And so I wonder who this is for, because Disturbia made sense. We were still kind of in that idea of appreciating great filmmakers and going back to the past to enjoy those films. So that homage to Rear Window, I think worked. I liked it actually with Shia LaBeouf and thought it was good. This feels way too modern, way too technological, but maybe for the younger generation who is really in touch with all the TikTok generation, who's really plugged into all of this, this feels very believable. Where that Black Mirror episode, where that thing, like your consciousness was put inside that at the time felt groundbreaking. This is kind of the next level of that with an appeal to the younger audience. So I don't know. I'm certainly going to watch it because it's Soderbergh, but it didn't 100% get me excited to see it. What about you, Mike?
This is like the opposite of the Raid thing. Like, I don't think that this is definitely a modern take on Rear Window if you are a Hitchcock fan and you watch Rear Window.
Sure.
But I think if you've never seen Rear Window is far enough in the rearview mirror that it can be a fresh new thing. And I think that the ideas behind Rear Window that made that movie work, whether you know that this is a reference to that or not, are really relevant today. And like watching this trailer, I was super into this trailer. I'm very excited to see this. I think it looks really cool. But like watching this, I couldn't help but think about like when The Net with Sandra Bullock came out. And it was like at the very beginnings of the internet, and the idea that this person like ordered all their food and never left their house was like, oh, that's crazy. But we've all just lived through a fucking pandemic where we all basically did that. And then there was even that Will Smith movie, Will Smith, Gene Hackman, Enemy of the State, where it was all about surveillance and how everyone's always watching you, which at the time was like, oh man, like the paranoia of the government. But we all have Alexas in our house. It's listening to everything I say. Like this movie feels like those movies, except even more relevant because we really have entered that era. So to me, kind of watching this trailer, I was like, this looks pretty exciting and really relevant for now. And if you are a Hitchcock fan, definitely shades of Rear Window.
Yeah, you mentioned Enemy of the State. That's essentially, a lot of people feel, is a sequel to The Conversation. Gene Hackman playing essentially the same character. So yeah, interesting point. Shannon, what did you think?
I really liked it. I thought it was really, really cool. And to what you were saying about the younger audiences aren't really turning up for Hitchcock anymore, I think there is probably some space now where people can use some of Hitchcock's films as a launch pad. Right. And then maybe they kind of discover Hitchcock through the back door, that you find out like, oh, this was actually based on something way back when. The idea that Zoe Kravitz is sort of this agoraphobic tech worker, and she tries to do the right thing, and she keeps running up against brick walls, and you find out the brick walls actually have some motivation to keep this potential murder quiet. I think it sounds like a really interesting concept. The screenplay is written by David Koepp, and right now they're saying the runtime is 2.5 hours.
Holy shit!
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I don't know if that's correct, but what I read is 2 hours and 29 minutes. I'm like, well, that's a long movie.
Got to be 20 minutes of credits. Jesus.
But I'm excited about it. Watching Rita Wilson only pops up in the trailer very briefly, but getting to see her play kind of a different shade, sort of a possible villainous shade, I was like, oh, this looks like a great movie that you would have found at Blockbuster, and you rented it based off the cover. And Yeah, I'm on a big blockbuster kick today. I don't know why.
Second blockbuster reference this episode.
And I'm not done. So that one's going to be streaming February 10th on HBO Max. And our last trailer, which is a series that we've been talking about for a little while, is Bel-Air. So this is the remake, reboot, reconceptualizing of basically the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The gentleman named Morgan Cooper back in 2019 decided to make a trailer on what would happen if Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a drama. And you want to talk about a guy that he shot his shot, and they picked it up. And the first trailer for this looks really compelling. I mean, you have a much cooler Jeffrey, a much cooler Uncle Phil. It just seems like a show that, as you're like, they're hitting the same beats that the sitcom hit, but just through a different lens. And at least as I was watching it, kind of like, yeah, this makes total sense. It's like watching it through this lens. I'm like, it surprises me that this wasn't the initial take versus the comedic take. But gentlemen, what did you all think of our first look at Bel-Air?
Mike?
I mean, I'm super down for this. This was the trailer I'm most excited about. It blew me away. I can't wait. I mean, I grew up on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I think you're right. Like, I mean, they didn't. What's really cool about it is that it's not really, aside from a few details that you get out of the trailer, it's not like a drastic reinvention. It literally is the exact same story. Almost beat for beat, but just slightly turned in a different direction. And I think that what it really does show is how great Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the series, really was. I mean, there's a reason that show rocketed Will Smith to where Will Smith still is today. And it's because that show really worked. It told a compelling story about two different sides of the Black experience coming together. And it told it in a really funny, really 90s sitcom-y way. But a lot of the things that they dealt with and a lot of the stories that they told work just as well in a dramatic setting. And that's what we're seeing here. And again, it's just like the conversation we were having about Rear Window and Hitchcock a minute ago. If you are of a certain age, you're going to want to watch this because you are going to see the show of your childhood told through a totally different lens.
Yeah.
But what's really great about this trailer is, I think if you've never watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and you go to watch this, it's equally as compelling because that's just a compelling story.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to our friend Cassandra Freeman, who's playing the legendary Aunt Vivian and looking gorgeous. And I can't wait to see what she's going to do with this role in the show. I loved it. I did a trailer reaction for it because I'd read a little bit of the synopsis on Variety, and they were saying, yeah, this is actually a damn good, interesting approach with the dramatic take. And I'm like, okay, I hadn't seen Morgan Cooper's film, so or trailer or whatever he'd created. So I'm like, I'm going to give this thing a shot. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I really like this trailer, and I'm a passive Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fan. That was just a little bit past my time, and I didn't go back and watch it. Yeah, well, I know. That's why this works so well to talk about it. So I was like, yeah, remember the Uncle Phil episode with his dad? You know, why does he love you, Uncle Phil? I remember that, the Aunt Viv drama and the controversy. I remember all of that. And of course, Carlton's dance, very much aware of it in the pop culture world. But I was just a little bit older for it. But I've gone back to watch episodes. But watching this piques my interest. This is very curious. Knowing the bones, as Shannon pointed out, the bones are there, but in a completely different way, in a way that works. I mean, there's a lot of intrigue here. It almost feels like Empire for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because you're not sure what side of the fence. I mean, what's this allusion to the fact that we owe him at the end? What does Aunt Vivian mean by that? What did they do that they feel they owe Will to take care of him and raise him right? And I mean, you got Carlton. Carlton ain't doing no stupid dance. Carlton is badass, and he embraces the fact that he's a rich kid in this world doing his thing. You've got the white snobby kid, which is great, straight out of an 80s movie. And then you've got Jeffrey, who's handling business like nobody's business. And then his Uncle Phil looks like he might be involved in some shady shit. And so you're just like, this is going to be really, really interesting. If the writing is there, if the acting is there, and the direction is there, this could be a really big hit and be one of the first things that's redone in a completely different approach and be as successful as the original source that it is based on. And they've gone through 3 showrunners, by the way, and they finally settled on their top 2 lead writers as their showrunners, with Malcolm Spellman and Will Smith as executive producers, along with Quincy Jones. So This has got all kinds of pedigree to be great. This is a good trailer.
I do feel it needs to be said that in college, I was not the most dramatic of actors. I was mostly comedic. But one of the better dramatic scenes I did was Streetcar Named Desire, where I was Stanley and Cassandra Freeman was Stella. And she is one of my favorite actresses that I ever acted with. So I am very excited to see her because she made me a better actor in that acting class.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
And before we wrap up here, I mean, I'll be really curious to see what this does for Peacock. Because at this point, Peacock has not had the series that has really moved the needle.
Yeah.
I mean, they have 3 different tiers of membership, a free one where they'll let you watch the first episode of a show, and then they have one that's like you get some ads, but you get all the premium content, and then you have premium content with no ads.
Yeah.
Will this be the show that finally gets puts Peacock in the spotlight?
Yeah, I have the one with no ads because of Premier League to watch Liverpool, because they show a lot of Liverpool games in Premier League. They're on Peacock, but they bought through WWE, so they've got those premier pay-per-view shows as well. But you're right, Shannon, they don't have a signature show. There's been AP Bio, there's been all those kinds of things, but there hasn't been that one. And you're right, this could be the one that kind of blows them up. Sorry, Mike.
I will say, as people are going to check out Bel-Air when it comes out, I have premium Peacock. There's not a ton to watch, but the level of high recommendation that I have for the Saved by the Bell reboot, if you haven't watched it, I'm not lying.
Fair enough.
I'm telling you, you think this is like, oh God, Saved by the Bell. This is one of the smarter shows on any of the streaming services that handles issues of race and gender and progressive and everything else in the weirdest, funkiest way. And it's amazing and it's funny. And everybody has to go check out Saved by the Bell. There's 2 seasons on Peacock right now. Go watch it. You'll thank me. That's all I'm saying.
Makes you wonder why John Michael Higgins did that Asian accent in Licorice Pizza. Anyway, all right. Anyway,
or you can trust Shannon and just go see bands in haunted house movies.
Oh my gosh! Flash forward 6 weeks, you're going to be dining on those words with a knife and a fork.
I have to say, I really liked the movie. I was surprised by it. Oh, there you go. All right, we're going to take a quick break and get into our main topic. We're going to talk about our top 5 films that we're looking forward to seeing in 2022. We took a week off during the holidays, so this is our way of kind of making up for that and talking about it now in our main topic here. We'll be right back right after this.
Did you know there's a curious lack of songs with the words 2022 in them?
Oh, wow.
That's all I got. I was honestly Googling at the beginning of the show, and I'm like, I'm not going to come up with anything.
Woof. All right, well, let's get into this thing here. Top 5 films of 2022. I think we'll just kind of, let's just say your 5, and then, we'll talk about your 5 and which is the one that really kind of is the one you're most looking forward to. Let's start with you, Shannon. Do you have your 5 listed out?
I do.
Please.
So I made a conscious choice not to have more than one MCU film and more than one DC film.
Okay.
Just to kind of, spread the love. So my MCU film that I'm the most excited for right now is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Just out of curiosity. I'm so curious. Very excited for the possible introduction of Namor into the MCU, which, they have not confirmed yet. So that might not happen, but also I'm just curious to see how Ryan Coogler was able to pick up the pieces and create this new story. I mean, everything that Ryan Coogler has done, in my opinion, he's knocked out of the park. So I have to think that the challenge is notwithstanding that he's going to do it again. And I'm just really curious to revisit the world of Wakanda. There's actually a video out right now, from Avengers Campus, which is out here in California, Disney's California Adventure, of a young girl talking with the Dora Milaje, and you get to see this interaction, and just, oh my gosh, it brought tears to my eyes. It was just the sweetest thing. So yes, for the MCU, it's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which will hopefully be out in November. For the DC EU, whatever acronym they're using, honestly, it's Black Adam. I know a lot of folks would probably think it was Aquaman too. But Aquaman, James Wan's Aquaman, I'm like, okay, I get the world. I get what we're going to get. And I wasn't a huge fan of it. I was thrilled to have an Aquaman movie, despite the fact that it did not necessarily leave me wanting more. Hopefully it's good, but Black Adam is the one I'm the most curious about. Mainly not because of The Rock, but because of Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate and Aldous Hodge as Hawkman. Like, knowing going forward what they're going to do, how it seems like The Flash is probably going to do a big reset on the entire DC film catalog. And Black Adam comes out in July. Like, what is this world? Does this exist in the same world as Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash? Or is this going to be something else? Is this sort of its own thing? Seeing Hawkman on screen is something I didn't think done. I don't want to say done well. I don't want to throw any shade at the CW shows, but watching Hawkman portrayed well on screen is something I'm really looking forward to. And Aldous Hodge is just a powerhouse actor, and getting to see him play Carter Hall, I think is going to be one of the coolest things. Number 3 doesn't have a date yet. Supposed to come out in 2022, but Knives Out 2 for Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Knives Out was one of my favorite films of that year, and it was one that I wasn't expecting to really enjoy. I thought the trailers were interesting, but not being the biggest fan of The Last Jedi, I was kind of like, I don't really want to. I don't care what Ryan Johnson does next. And then watching that movie, just poke. Watching Knives Out 2, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a throwback to the old movies where you get a bunch of stars together in a big murder mystery, and it was so much fun. I mean, getting to see the further adventures of Benoit Blanc with the cast that they've assembled, and they filmed, I believe it was over in Greece, but the fact that they've got Catherine Hahn, Jessica Henwick, Edward Norton, Leslie Odom Jr., Janelle Monáe, Kate Hudson, Ethan Hawke. I mean, to me, I was like, that has the potential to be just an incredibly fun 2-hour ride. And even though it is releasing directly to Netflix, occasionally, like they did with Army of the Dead, like they will put it on some screens, and that's one I am hoping to see on screen. The next one, also a Netflix movie, is The Gray Man, which is from the Russo brothers, starring Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, and how Ryan Gosling is this ex-CIA operative who may have turned into an assassin, and it's Chris Evans going after him. Again, theatrically, the Russo brothers have a really high batting average. I was not the biggest fan of Cherry, but everything else they've done, I've really, really enjoyed. So this just seems like again, a good 90s, potentially 90s action throwback where you just have two really compelling actors kind of duking it out. And I think that's 4. Is that 4 that I've done? Black Panther, Knives Out 2, The Gray Man, Black Adam, Yeah, okay. So my last one, coming out next summer is Elvis, the new Baz Luhrmann movie. Elvis, where Tom Hanks is going to be playing Colonel Parker. I mean, this is not normally the type of movie that I would be jonesing for. Right. But I'm a huge Tom Hanks fan, and getting to see him take on sort of a potentially morally duplicitous character, I think is really interesting. The fact that Baz Luhrmann hasn't done anything in 10 years, I'm very curious to see how this one turns out. So those are my top 5 for 2022.
Well, you got COVID for that movie, so I hope it's good. For God's sakes, I hope it's good. All right, Mikey, do you have 5, or let me go first?
I got 5, but you can go or I can go. What do you want?
No, go if you're ready. All
right. Well, I mostly kept with Shannon on the one Marvel, one DC. I guess I technically have 2 Marvel movies, but what are you going to do? So my picks are, out of the Marvel movies, I'm obviously excited for all of them, but if I really was being honest, I think the one that I'm most excited about is Thor: Love and Thunder, because it's the one we know the least about. I think that I'm super excited about female Thor. I'm super excited about the Guardians being in it. And I'm super excited about seeing where Taika Waititi takes stuff, because if Ragnarok is any indication, this is going to be another fucking crazy, weird, and yet amazing home run movie. So I think my expectations for it are really high. And I think that, you know, we've talked so much about Wakanda Forever, and we've heard a lot of rumors, and we know like that it's been changing around, and we know that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is going to be batshit insane and with all the Scarlet Witch goodness that we could all want. But Thor Love and Thunder is just such a big question mark that it has me super, super excited.
Okay.
And then the other one that is not MCU but is still Marvel is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of the best animated movies ever, and in the running for best Spider-Man movie ever. I'm still living in my No Way Home afterglow, so I don't know that it's the best, but time will tell. But it's definitely up there. And you know, I think and we've talked about this with just some other animated movie trailers that have come out, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse changed the landscape of animation and what you can do in an animated feature film. And so just seeing where they're going to take this story with these characters, like I just literally couldn't be more excited. On the DC front, actually, the Flash.
Okay.
Not because I'm super, super excited about the movie, but I'm just I'm really curious to see if they can pull it off and if this really does reset the DC universe. I would honestly love nothing more than to walk out of the Flash and be like, well, I'm on board with the DC universe now. Like I'm great. Like we've moved through the Snyder era. We've moved through everyone else. Everyone makes fun of me for hating DC, even though I don't really hate DC. And I would love to come out of the Flash movie and be like, hey, I love this Supergirl. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm on board. Let's ride. So I would really, really love that. I think that I have 6. Okay, it's fine. I'll lose one. Next one is gonna be Lightyear.
Okay. Yeah.
It just looks so crazy, and I really like. I think it looks amazing. The trailer's awesome. Seeing like the real Buzz Lightyear is such an interesting idea. But I think what's also really interesting to me is, can Disney sort of revitalize Buzz Lightyear? You know, I mean, Toy Story. I mean, Woody and Buzz Lightyear are the original characters that put Pixar on the map. And they've managed to get 4 amazing movies, you know, each one really, really good in their own way, and have extended those things. But Buzz Lightyear as a toy and as a character, he's really old.
Yeah.
And if this movie can sort of give a new lease on life to Buzz Lightyear, like if this can spin off into, oh shit, we want this Chris Evans Buzz Lightyear in multiple movies now. Like I think that is going to be really interesting. And I just think as a storytelling challenge, what this movie is going to be. I mean, you know, like it's the same thing we talk about with every Pixar movie is, you know, there's more to it than here's like a really fun space adventure with Buzz Lightyear. You know that there is going to be some deep emotional shit that we're all going to take to therapy with us in this movie. And I don't know what it is, but it makes me really excited. And then the other one, which everyone can make fun of me for, and we'll see if it actually comes out, is Avatar 2. I'm super stoked. I don't care. I know that Avatar 1 does not have the best script, and I know that it is Dances with Smurfs. Like, I get all of the reasons that Avatar is kind of ridiculous. Like, unobtainium is the dumbest name for any kind of mineral. I can get on board with all the reasons that we can make fun of Avatar. Mm-hmm. I love that movie. Yeah. I saw that movie so many times in theaters. I can't get enough of it. If I put that movie on, I will sit and watch the entire thing. I get into it. Taruk Makto. I see you, Jake Sully. Like I'm on board with that movie. So I'm like, I'm in. So like, and also like James Cameron as a director. I mean,
yeah.
Don't bet against James Cameron.
You kind of can't.
Don't ever do it. Like James Cameron has delivered more. I mean, he's done less movies than a lot of other directors, so he's got that. But like, his track record is pretty much flawless as far as just like box office success, and many people would argue like just fun, quality, whatever. So maybe Avatar 2 is going to be just a complete disaster. Maybe this plan for the 8 Avatar movies they're going to do is a complete disaster, however many it is. But until I see that movie as a disaster, I am super excited to go back to Pandora. I'm in.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There you go. There's Mike's top 5 and Shannon's top 5. So we can start with mine. No one's mentioned it yet, so I'll say it. The Batman. I mean, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this one. I love the Batman character. I connect to the Batman character. I read as many Batman things as I can. And we've seen shades of the Batman that I love in the different versions we've had so far. But this one feels like the most complete approach to the Batman that I want to see theatrically. The approach, the Seven vibe to it, the grimy, kind of grind throughout. I loved the look of this thing, and every trailer has been incredible. And this looks like it's gonna be one of these. People are pushing Into the Spider-Verse No Way Home for Best Picture. I think the Batman is going to be an undeniable choice if it's incredible. Ooh. I really do. I really think it has that pedigree from the trailers that I've seen to kind of break through these people's issues with comic book movies overall. And I want to see if Robert Pattinson can do it. Someone posted that picture of the Riddler and said, where was he on January 6th? I thought that was funny. And that tells you the kind of approach that you're dealing with here. And Zoe Kravitz, we'll see. We talked about her and Kimi. We'll see what she does with Catwoman, but it looks incredible. And of course, Colin Farrell as Penguin. My other one, how can it not be? Top Gun Maverick, ladies and gentlemen. Put that on the table. I've been waiting 2 fucking years for that movie. I was still employed at Collider when that first trailer came out. That's how fucking long I've been waiting for that goddamn movie. And now it's coming this year, hopefully. And if there's another variant, I'm going to shoot it in the face. Because goddamn it, I want Top Gun Maverick in an IMAX screen, and I want to see it. And I heard rumors that this thing had come, that they had done a screening for it in LA last week, and I reached out to a couple of publicists here and said, what the fuck? And so I absolutely want to have a shot at seeing this thing as quickly and as soon as possible. Tom Cruise coming back. I want to see if they pull it off. I want to see Val Kilmer, what's his situation in all of this, and I want to see what the younger guys can do with this. Glenn Howell and I forget his
Miles
name.
Teller.
Miles Teller, yeah. You can see what they can do with it. So the other one is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness for different reasons, and that is because I don't know if Sam Raimi can pull this off. I really don't. I didn't come out of Spider-Man 3 liking it. I haven't always been the biggest fan of Sam Dutch Angle Raimi. I haven't always been the biggest fan of his approach to things. I like elements of his movies. I like extended scenes in his movies, but overall, I don't always 100% walk out of his movies going, that was great. And so I'm wondering if he can balance all of this and pull it off, because Spider-Man No Way Home, that's a hell of a thing to follow. That is such a incredible film. So we'll see if Sam can do that. My fourth film is Mission Impossible 7, another Tom Cruise film that's been delayed. And hey, my man had to lose his mind a little bit to get people to focus on wearing a mask. And I'm okay with it. And I am looking forward to this. I mean, what's so great about 7 is that we're getting tentacles reaching all the way back to the original film. Henry Czerny is coming back, who was the main villain of the first film. Esai Morales is going to be in this. Shea Wiggum, who I love, is a fantastic character actor, is going to be in this. And you're getting everybody back. Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames. You're getting Rebecca Ferguson back, and you're adding Haley Atwell and Palm Clementieff. So nice to see these elements being a part of the Mission Impossible series. And of course, they're shooting them back to back because Tom ain't getting any younger. So you might as well get that done now and knock these things out. No offense to Tom. And then my fifth one is an unusual film that I recently saw the trailer for and did a reaction for, and that's The Northman, this new film from Robert Eggers, this Viking revenge film, with Alexander Skarsgård. It looks awesome. Absolutely awesome. Bjork going way out into the stratosphere, being a part of this thing. It just looks great. The visuals on the trailer were incredible. And I love me a revenge film. I love me a period revenge film. And then you're going to go, I love me a Viking revenge film. I mean, for God's sakes, let's do this thing. It looks awesome. And of course, Robert Eggers with The Lighthouse and The Witch, I think, just incredible work that he's been able to do as a director. So I'm excited to see him tackling something like this. So those are my 5 that I would throw out there to balance out my gentlemen.
Have you played the Valhalla, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
It's sitting right there, bud. It's sitting right there. Okay. Of course. I played it on Twitch. There's videos of me playing it on Twitch. Oh, please. Yes. Absolutely. I got to finish it. I got to finish that and Jedi Fallen Order as well. So, yeah.
Just eating raw meat, drinking mead with your little Viking helmet on, and your PlayStation. Just like screaming at the TV. That's
Lady Outlaw comes in. What are you doing? Bring me meat, woman. Bring me the
that all tracks.
Bring me the leg of that cow.
Yeah, I mean, look,
absolutely.
I think it's like, it is going to be interesting. I mean, look, like, as we were talking about with Turning Red and Encanto, like, just depending on what happens, like, how many of these movies are going to make it, how many movies are going to get pushed, how many movies are going to go to streaming, and, like, you know, it's like, everything is kind of we're up in the air. Like, some days it feels like we're at the tail end, and then you knock on wood real quick, and you're like, okay, but what's the next variant? So, this year is kind of, I mean, you know, like I was saying with Avatar, like the Avatar movies have been pushed so many times. It's like, maybe we'll see that this year, but I just, I'm glad that we have so many movies to be excited about coming out in theaters, as opposed to a year or so ago where we were like, well, we're waiting a year. And it'll be interesting to see which ones make it to theaters, and also which ones, kind of like Spider-Man No Way Home, get people into theaters. Despite the fears, despite the concerns, what are the event movies that get people out in theaters? And then we'll see a countless number of articles about how only, you know, like Ben Affleck said this week, that only event films are going to be in theaters now and everything is going to go to streaming, which may or may not be true once we get out of the entire mess that we're in as a planet, but we'll see.
Some of us have been saying that for years, but go ahead,
Event films and Studio 666.
Oh boy.
Oh God!
If anything's made for streaming, it's Studio 666.
If you don't see it on February 25th, you'll be able to stream it on March 2nd.
On February 26th.
Out of the three trailers we had, 2 were going to streaming, and that's the one that's going into a theater.
True. And speaking of Ben Affleck, real quick, if you guys haven't watched The Tender Bar on Amazon Prime, can't encourage you enough. It is so effing good. Please, for those of you who are watching, and to my compatriots here, The Tender Bar, it is one of the greatest performances of Ben Affleck's career. No lie. It really is a surprisingly great film. So
after you check out Saved by the Bell on Peacock, absolutely go check out that. Yeah, it'll be great.
There you go.
How can you sit there and besmirch Studio 666 and you're trumpeting Saved by the Bell?
Sir,
we don't have
you
time
watched
for this.
it? Have you watched it?
Is Mario Lopez in it? Then I'm not going to watch it. All right. Shannon, thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Geek Buddies. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is @MKToon. If you follow both of us, you can see our Wordle scores every day. And if you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is @TheRochaSays.
What the hell is that? I've seen that. What the hell?
If you are a lover of comedy like me, a cinephile like Rocha, or Shannon, you have somebody here who is on your side and someone that you can relate to. And we love all of you guys. We love all the opinions, and we want to keep things going. So here's what you guys can do for us. Click the like button below, subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page, leave your comments below in the YouTube channel. Let us know what you guys thought of everything. What are you excited about? How stoked are you for Studio 666? Like, just let us know what's going on down below. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, take a quick second, leave us some stars, leave us some comments. It helps us go up in the rankings, so when people search for entertainment podcasts, they find us. And as always, the best thing that you guys can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, let everybody know that they should check out the Geek Buddies, because we have a really good time talking geeky shit.
That's for sure. And once again, a big shout out to to Carbon Health, who is powering and sponsoring the Geek Buddies and the Outlaw Nation. Thank you so much for doing that. And please, if you are looking to get tested, if you got anything going on with you physically that you're not sure about, that you're kind of on the fence about, go get tested. Go see somebody. Carbonhealth.com. Just go to that website there and see all the multiple clinics that are available in 14 states. See all the virtual care that's available for you to be in contact with. And also, if you want to get tested for COVID, for Omicron, all of that, they've got testing going on now. And if you're going overseas, they've certainly got testing going on for that as well. So you can get fully cleared to travel and see friends and family, or just to travel again for those of you that can. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here. We love you all madly, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here from the
Geek Buddies.